Legacy simply cannot beat.
Yep. Chalice has reared its ugly head against many an opponent, forcing them to have force of will immediately, or they really can't interact or play their cards and be able to actually have a game against an opponent. So Punishing Jund is something that we've seen Jeff Hoogland do a lot in the Midwest. And it looks like we're going to see a turn 1 Burning Wish for Life Malone, which is obviously going to resolve against a deck that is playing no Force of Will.
And it's interesting because BD's deck is one of the grindier decks that you can really play in Legacy in my mind, but Punishing Loam is as grindy as it gets. I mean, this is a slow attrition battle.
I was going to say, VD's playing a very grindy deck. He might be playing against the grindiest deck.
Yes.
It's either this or like 43 land. It's the ultimate grinders deck.
Well, I think it's a little bit different to me because I see Abrupt Decay from Wes. Eventually, the lands deck does something powerful. That's kind of the difference. The Loam deck is just puts you in the sleeper for the whole game.
Yeah, sure. VD going to draw a card here. Looks like he drew it. I think that was an Ancient Grudge.
And no land drop here from Wes. And VD with a Wasteland in hand. The upside is you know about Loam, so if you blow up one of his mana sources, if you blow up the Badlands, then you cut him off of being able to Loam. The downside is if Wes then draws a second land, he loams back both things, and the game kind of gets out of control.
You basically accomplish nothing at that point.
Right. It is somewhat attractive to consider just blowing up the Mox Diamond. That's kind of the best of both worlds.
Oh, he cast a Loam of his own. All right. A little Loam War. Burning Wish the card. He's drawn Dark Confidant. Chose not to cast Loam.
Yep.
I'm a little surprised by that. Doesn't want to take his guaranteed land drop.
Well, this puts VD to the test, and there's a ton of upside if he rips a fetch land.
Okay.
To waiting.
Vidianto does draw a fetch land of his own this turn.
Vidianto, no stranger to Legacy success. He was the Grand Prix Denver champion earlier in 2013 with Esper Stoneblade.
It was a nice Esper Stoneblade deck, too. A lot of foils.
Depends if you like foils or not, but
I'm a fan. I know you're a purist. Is that what I'm looking for?
Minimalist.
Minimalist, okay. Man of the classics.
Right.
Got a lot of vinyl records at home.
I want to spend a lot of money on things that don't look good.
Yeah.
I don't know what you call that.
I don't know what the word is for that either. Here's an Ancient Grudge to take that down. Wasteland to take this down. And now he's set back to the Stone Age. Turns over a Loam with Dark Confidant. Ends up taking 2. Draws a fetch land. So there will be a land drop here. But VD has a Loam Wasteland engine of his own. Fetch land obviously breaking that up. But if Kalbus isn't careful, he might never actually get to cast that Life Malone.
Yeah, and VD is setting up a really grindy game. He has Liliana in hand, so he's kind of shifting into his own mana denial strategy here.
Yeah, who's the grindy deck now? So you see VD does have an Abrupt Decay. He does have Punishing Fire and Liliana in his hand. Also has a Sylvan Library too. So he's got a magnitude of ways to take care of that Dark Confidant, assuming that he wants to. Seems like the most relevant card on the table.
Yeah. Well, Wes does only have 2 of them, so.
Yeah. There's a Bayou, and a really nice one. And now here's Liliana. Get that thing out of here. Going to leave itself on 1 counter. Mox Diamond the draw.
A taunting draw.
Yeah, very awkward. And VD's going to Dredge Loam. Hit 1, Badlands, 2 in Abrupt Decay, 3 in Deathrite Shaman. One of my favorite cards of all time.
What?
Life Malone. I love this card. I want to shake the person's hand who designed this card.
Well, it is kind of, it does have the potential to be a sweet deck building build around. It is somewhat unfortunate that the most powerful things to be doing with it is continually getting back Wastelands and Strip Mines, but.
Yeah, give me a Cycle Land. Give me a Tranquil Thicket, Daddy-O. Cycle all day, cycle all night.
Billy Moreno at Pro Tour Los Angeles many moons ago.
He cycled until he couldn't cycle anymore.
Yeah.
So there's your discard for Liliana. Burning Wish down for Kalbus. Wooded Foothills down. And now there's a Sylvan Library and pass the turn back. So Kalbus draws a card. It's an Abrupt Decay. He has to pass the turn back. Sylvan Library trigger goes on the stack.
So and this is the absolute, this is as grindy as it gets right here.
Oh, yeah.
As VD pulls back a surgical extraction, which can break up any loam shenanigans as well. And a scavenging ooze, is that?
That is news.
So a lot of quality graveyard hate for Vidianto.
Looks like he's going to pay 4 life to draw the ooze plus the extraction. Let me see him taking a look at the graveyard here. He's going to dredge life from them now. Not sure how that works with this. It's very complicated. Yeah. Okay.
He's saying forget about it, I think.
Look, for Kalbus to start was so good.
Well,
He's gotten in so much trouble.
He never got to actually leverage it.
Yeah.
He got to, he started with his loam draw, never really did anything with it, and then, cast some 2-mana spells.
Yeah.
And Vidi shut the door with all that mana denial on that one turn.
Kind of a shame that he just couldn't end up, parlaying into very much. I really wanted to see these decks kind of grind back and forth. That's just a Liliana activation. Vidi sets this card down to discard.
It's really hard for these matchups to not come down to someone just getting on top of the other person with resources and leveraging that, because the decks just trade. There's so much trading going on, what I mean?
It's like Punishing Fire discarded for Vidi and a Liliana Veil discarded for Kalbus. So Wijaya is going to tap some mana, and there's a Scavenging Ooze. It looks like it might be hungry, and it is.
Takes care of the Confidant.
There's a Badlands. And pass the turn back. Kalbus draws a card. It's a Swamp.
But again, Vidi with the extraction, even if he cares about West loaming, which may be just far too slow. Maybe Vidi doesn't even care about it, but if he's really on this plus Liliana plan and just trying to run West out of resources, then he also just has the option of extracting that loaming.
Yep. So West is going to sacrifice that Verdant Catacombs. Going to take 1 to do so. Going to get a basic, so trying to dodge Wasteland just the best that he can. Probably see a Loam get cast here. Also, Abrupt Decay might be something that may get cast this turn too.
Yeah, the tough part about using an Abrupt Decay this turn is every permanent that Vidi has is kind of equally as bad for West. He doesn't get that much value out of getting any one particular permanent off the table.
Yeah, they're all really, really good right now. That's kind of the problem.
So he needs to do, I feel, something kind of proactive this turn.
It's interesting too because they're all presenting 3 very different problems.
Yes.
2 mana.
I also like loaming here because it sets up your Mox Diamond to be able to. Next turn he has potentially access to 4 mana, which would allow him to cast 2 spells in 1 turn.
Yeah.
And when he has so many Abrupt Decays in hand, I think he needs to try to set up a 2-spell turn at some point.
Surgical Extraction on the end step there from Wijaya, going to take care of the Loams. There was 1 in Kalbus' hand. You see Kalbus' hand now, double Abrupt Decay, a couple of lands in Verdant Catacombs, bad lands, a Grove of the Burn Willows, and a Mox Diamond in the grip. But there will be no more loaming shenanigans on one side of the table.
Vidi already had on board with multiple card advantage engine sources online, and West really with just removal and nothing proactive going on.
Yeah. Now, this is actually the first time I've ever taken the time to look at the Surgical Extraction artwork.
It is pretty grim.
Yeah, it really is, actually. Yeah. I've never cast it before, and the decks that I play, people don't cast it against me.
Yeah.
It's just, that is just rude.
I wonder what the art description was like. Show a zombie with its spine getting ripped out of his back. The spine should be floating in the air.
Done. Book it. Sylvan Library. Looks like a Punishing Fire, Verdant Catacombs, and a Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf providing the clock necessary to get this game over with pretty quickly here for Wijaya. He wants to make sure that he does resolve Sylvan Library correctly. It's a very confusing card.
Yes. It was not templated by TCG Masters.
No.
I can tell you that much.
No. Look at a bunch of cards, put them back, draw them if you want to. Pay life, I guess. You have to brainstorm on your upkeep, kind of, but not really. Yeah. It's confusing.
Make sure to track cards you've already drawn this turn.
Yeah. So Tarmogoyf does go to the grip for Wijaya. Scavenging Ooze is going to start off. Wants to see if there's any creatures down there. Anything worth removing. Take a look at his graveyard as well. Doesn't look like it.
Vidi contemplating his move. There's some issue with just running the Tarmogoyf out here. As you know, Wes has 2 Abrupt Decays in his hand.
Yeah.
You kind of would, in an ideal world, you would try to induce Wes to Abrupt Decay, almost certainly one of the Abrupt Decays is going to be used on the Ooze, and then you can induce him to maybe use it on the Sylvan Library or the Liliana, and that clears the road for your Goyf. There's some risk of kind of just flooding out and not having that much action in the event that both of your threats die, as Vidi just has his Liliana and Sylvan Library in play, and then just another Liliana and Abrupt Decay in hand.
I like playing the Tarmogoyf here because, again, I want to make it so my opponent has to make a decision. And if Kalbus does decide to take care of the Tarmogoyf, that's fine.
I'm not saying you don't have an edge.
Yeah.
You're definitely favored from this position, but it's just, it feels like Vidi could try to lead the game into a place where those Abrupt Decays get targeted on something else, whether it's the Liliana or the Sylvan Library or something else to draw in a turn or 2.
We have our Tarmogoyf die. We're going to see exactly how big that doofus is. There's at least 1 Planeswalker in the graveyard, too, so it's going to be a little bit bigger than normal.
I think Wes is probably saying to himself, don't bother with the die. I'm going to Abrupt Decay this thing.
Yeah. Big body.
And I think Wes is mulling over whether or not he wants to bother with this Mox Diamond and using the second Abrupt Decay this turn, or if he's just going to try to save the cards in his hand to buffer himself against Liliana getting plussed, but he's getting kind of squeezed on both sides.
Oh, wow, he's going to take care of Liliana.
Unfortunately for Wes, Vidianto with a backup Liliana in his hand.
There's a Mox Diamond discard. Suit is going to kill with this one. Or if he's going to play Dark Confidant, he's going to kill Tarmogoyf. All right, so the die won't be necessary.
Yeah.
He's going to Dredge Loam, it looks like. Dredging Loam with, there's a Punishing Fire and 2 Wooded Foothills. Dredging Loam and then Sylvan Library.
Yeah.
Really weird interaction. Yes, that's what I think happens. Yeah, it's that he gets to look at the other 2 cards. Okay.
All sorts of grindy little synergies.
Yeah. All right, so Scavenger Ooze is going to eat probably a Tarmogoyf that's down there. And it's actually going to eat the. Oh, I see Abrupt Decay is going to get. Or excuse me, Ancient Grudge is going to get cast to take care of the Mox Diamond. Wasteland's going to take care of the Badlands. And then it looks like he's going to go Loaming again. A lot to keep up with in this grind fest.
Yeah. But Vidi is just trying to leverage just this general resource advantage.
Yeah. This is the sleeper hold.
Yeah. Wes nowhere near the ropes.
Is this where the ref comes in?
It's just cinched in.
And trying to get the crowd into it?
Yeah, we're lifting his hand and letting him drop for sure. Wes's hand just a grove with burn willows and a Dark Confidant.
Tarmogoyf's going to get eaten. Ooze is going to move up to a 5/5. Coming across for 5, put Kalbus down to 8. Wijaya's already played his land, so he's going to pass the turn back. Go over the Burn Willows gets played. There's Dark Confidant and pass the turn back.
And Vidianto, as we know, has a backup Liliana to handle this.
Abrupt Decay as well. Looks like he might Dredge Loam again. He will. So hit 1, Dark Confidant, 2, Bloodstained Mire, 3, Liliana the Veil. Get that back. Don't know if he triggered the library or not. Don't know if he even cares to. Doesn't look like he does. Kill the Grove.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be stressing him out too much.
There's Liliana. Kill your Bob.
I think
Actually, no, discard and then kill your Bob. Okay.
Also to get the last card of his
hand. Got it. Attack for 5, puts you down to 3. That's exactly what he's doing. He's just closing all the windows, and that is going to do it. So Vidianto Wijaya is going to defeat Wes Kalbus. Punishing Jund defeats Punishing Loam.